good holidays so far. How about yours?
Holiday's good. I'm I'm glad that we're delivering so much value. We're getting lots of great feedback about the show, but I got to tell you, 10 days in a row. 10 days in a row is a lot. 10 days in a row is a lot.
Well, it's not exactly 10. It'll be more than that in just a couple of days, right? So,
Well, yeah, because it's the 12 days of Christmas. But
so
now we're on 10.
That's right. So, if you think 10 is a lot, wait till 12, right? It's
Yeah.
really great content. I've enjoyed looking at it and seeing it because it's certainly confirmed some things that just back in the day, professional stuff and things like that, and it's also made me think about things differently. So I've enjoyed them myself. So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of great feedback from people. It's kind of like it's kind of like when I go on the when I was out on the national speaking tour, and I would go out for 2-3 weeks at a time speaking. You get down to the end, it's just like you get a little grungy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's very hard to maintain energy over time like that. But I think that like I said, the topic certainly helps it. You can see a lot of passion come through the topic, so that's always carries that energy. So that's always a good thing. So national speaking tour. So I bet those were fun days.
Yeah, it was fun. It's one of those strategies that it worked. It was the right place and the right time.
I actually agree with that, and I've listened to you talk about that in the past about right time and right place. But I also think capitalizing, right? So there's people that see the right time and place but don't do anything about it, so they don't capitalize on the right time and place. So there's an extra word to throw in there for you.
Yeah, lots of people are in the right place at the right time, but they don't do anything about it. That is for sure. I've certainly been that person before. After all, I don't own half of the apartments in Miami.
That's a good point. So, and back in the day, they're very expensive now to own them. So, Miami's taken a massive amount of growth in the last few years.
Well, they're not really expensive. They're actually just an expense.
Right.
People mix up the word expense, cost, and expensive. They treat it as if they all mean the same thing, and they don't. A lot of people don't have successful businesses precisely because they don't make a clear distinction between the definitions of those words.
That makes sense.
I know thousands. I've met thousands of lawyers. You'd think, lawyers are pretty intelligent, pretty articulate. Most lawyers have a pretty good vocabulary. And this misunderstanding of the difference between the word expense, expensive, and cost, it costs lawyers a lot.
Right.
Their life, the quality of their life.
Welcome to 12 Days of Law Firm Growth, the show for law firm owners who are serious about growing their business, maximizing profits, and reaching their true potential. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Today is the 10th day of Law Firm Growth, and I'm here with Trey Demoiville from my team, but we're not going to introduce Trey just yet, and I'm not even going to introduce myself because if you're listening to the show live, you probably know who I am. You know what How to Manage a Small Law Firm is, and you'll just be patient for just a minute. And let me speak to everyone. Trey, we are getting a relatively small group who are listening to the show live. And what we're finding is that thousands of people are discovering the show recorded. And most of them don't know who I am. They don't know who you are. They don't know what How to Manage a Small Law Firm is. And they do not care. What they care about is how can listening to this show help them have a better year next year with their law firm. How can this show help them make more profit, financial profit, personal profit, professional profit, all the different ways there are to measure the profitability of a law firm. How can this show help them? And so before I introduce myself and before I introduce How to Manage a Small Law Firm and before I let you introduce yourself, I first want to just lay out the premise of the show and ask you to tell everyone what's going to be in it for them with the clip you chose for tonight's show. So just everyone heads up. Every night I ask a different member from my team to grab a clip, their favorite clip from our archives, and share it for the show. And I don't know what the clip is ahead of time. It's a surprise. So we play a little game where I try to guess where and when the clip was made. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I don't. And then we will share the clip with you. And then we will debrief, diagnose, analyze, discuss, banter, whatever. And we answer some questions also. And we get some questions that are sent into us from people who listen to the recorded version of the show. And of course, people who are live are posting questions as well. So before we get to anything about who we are, what How to Manage a Small Law Firm is, blah, 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 because they don't care, Trey, quick, what's in it for them? How is this show, how is the clip you pick going to make a law firm owner's life any better?
Sure. So I think from a small law firm growing, the bedrock of everything from a foundation for me is process and procedures. And I think the biggest thing is it helps you transfer from working in your business to working on your business and some of those core foundational pieces that allow you to work on your business as opposed to in your business all the time.
So how is this clip going to make my life better? If I'm the owner of a small law firm and I'm deciding whether or not to keep listening to this show or tune out, I need to know, like, in the next minute, how is this clip going to make my life better?
Well, for me,
is this clip going to help me make more money?
Right. For me, it's the keys to the kingdom, right? These small things that you put in place early helps you like gangbuster earn money over time. It's do the small things early, right?
Is this clip going to help me make more profit?
Absolutely. I firmly believe
that. Is this clip going to help me get home to my kids at night?
Absolutely. I firmly believe
Is this going to help me keep my commitments that I make to my family to be there for them with the after school activities instead of being one of those fucking assholes who goes around saying, I'm doing this all for my family. And then I fucking blow off my family left and right because my law firm is running like shit.
I 100% believe that's an accurate statement. Yes.
Is this clip going to make my dog listen to me instead of... No,
I don't know about that one, but...
Okay. If your dog misbehaves, begs at the table, pisses on the rug, does all those things, there's probably a good chance that you feed your dog from your hand.
From the table. Yeah.
Yeah. When you feed your dog from your hand, it teaches the dog to disrespect you. Literally, it does.
That's correct. I believe. Yeah, I'm second guessing some choices with my pets now.
People come over to our house all the time. They're like, you know why your dog behaves so badly? We're like, yes, we know exactly why our dog behaves so badly because we feed him and we don't put any boundaries in place and we let him get away with murder. So, because he's so little and cute, and we know exactly why he behaves so badly. We just just not a priority for us. So we don't really care that much.
Oh.
But people think that, oh, I'm showing generosity and I'm showing love and I'm showing no. The dog speaks dog language. The dog does not speak human language. And when you feed a dog with your hand, the dog speaks dog language. And what the dog interprets it as is, you are weak and I do not have to respect your authority, and I can do whatever I want to do. This happens in law firms all the time, by the way, with clients. Right. Lawyers do all kinds of dumb shit because they think that they're demonstrating generosity. They think they're demonstrating strength. They think they're demonstrating all kinds of stuff to their clients. And what they're really teaching their clients is, I am an idiot who you should not trust. And then they wonder why they have accounts receivables problems, and they wonder why they don't get more referrals, and they wonder why their clients don't entrust them with the really juicy matters. And it's because they're literally teaching their clients to disrespect them and not trust them. I don't even know how we got on that tangent. This is what happens when you do a podcast 10 days in a row at 8 o'clock at night in your local time zone. You start making random comments like this that might be interesting. Anyways, tell us
because I have a dog that you just described. So
yeah, well, I mean, there's probably 10,000 lawyers who will listen to this podcast, and they will have a client that's exactly the way I'm describing. And by the way, I'm not disrespecting the client. I'm telling you that the way you set up your processes and your procedures in your business, your law firm is a business, and the way you set up those processes and those procedures and the policies, they literally train your clients to shit on you. And if you're getting shit on by your clients, that's an effect, and it's not their fault. It's because you trained them to shit on you. So there you go. All right. So did you tell the clip yet? Did you tell us what's in it for us? How is this clip going to make anyone's life any better?
So it's not going to let your client shit on you anymore. You got that one working for you, right? So I think it's going to allow you to make more money and get control of your life a little bit. And I do believe that, right? So
if I want to get more money, if I want to make more money, if I want to make more profit in my law firm, and I want to, what was the second thing you said?
So not let your client shit on you and make more money and get more control of your life.
Get more control of my life. Right. So you know what's going to happen, right?
You're going to make me play the clip, and then we're going to play pop quiz. Where is this?
No. About 1,000 lawyers will listen to this clip, and then they won't probably implement a single thing they're going to learn. And they'll be sitting around at a bar or a bar function sometime next year. And they'll be like, sitting around with a bunch of losers and saying, like, running a law firm is a tough racket. But they're not going to do anything. Oh, yeah. You can download the business plan. So we've been offering this business plan, and we've downloaded, I don't know, a couple thousand of these. But I know we've had thousands of people who are watching and have not yet availed themselves. So please, sincerely, everyone, all jokes aside, take advantage of this resource. This is our big, this is the Christmas season. This is the holiday season. This is the 12 days of law firm growth. We're just giving and giving and giving and giving and sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing. We got nothing to sell you. We got a waiting list of clients. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're really just trying to be in the holiday spirit and share these resources with you. And this business plan workbook is a really great way to set yourself up and set your family up for success by building a more successful law firm for the new year. So sincerely, please take advantage of it. And after you download it and you work it, if you got any questions, let us know. We'll help you for free. We'll invite you to a workshop for free. We'll invite you to a webinar for free. We'll help you write your business plan for free. We'll help you with so much for free. By the time that we're done helping you with so much for free, you're going to want to be on the waiting list and wait for a spot for our C-suite services. So How to Manage a Small Law Firm is the largest provider of CEO, COO, CFO, and CMO services. We manage over 600 I said 600, over 600 now, of some of the fastest growing, most profitable, most successful, most fun to run small law firms in every practice area you can possibly imagine, all over the country, even a few other countries. Lawyers come to us with $1 million firms to grow them into $10 million firms. They come to us with $500,000 firms to grow them into $1 million firms. Lawyers come to us with a $250,000 firm to turn into a $500,000 firm. Lawyers come to us just getting started when they're smart enough to do it the right way the first time, instead of fucking it all up like I did and then having to fix it. So How to Manage a Small Law Firm is a great resource. We have a waiting list, though. Not trying to sell you anything right now. Just trying to give you free resources to take advantage of. All right. So, Trey.
Absolutely.
You look scared, man.
I'm sorry. No, I mean, I get it. I'm nervous. What can I say?
Are you? Are you really nervous? Are you actually
it's
nervous?
It's an important topic to me, so I want to make sure I get it right.
All right. So just give everyone briefly a little background on who you are, and then we'll look at the clip.
My name is Trey DeMolville. I've been here at HTM for almost 2 years, and I think this has been one of the most incredible journeys I've been on in my professional life. I actually come out of a lot of
incredible.
I believe so, and I'll tell you why. Right?
Incredible.
I stand in the back of the room and watch you change. Oh, I'm
sorry. Credible means trustworthy and reliable. I am a credible witness. You're a credible.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yes, it means the opposite of credible.
That's fair. See, now I feel like I'm in the stands. I'm not a good witness. We know this. But I think
you
come from a policy and procedure background and knowing how important the foundations of a company are around process, standing on process. I really think it's the keys to success. So I'm like super happy that you let me do this topic. And I've watched in the LQMs, right? I've watched these things take effect. And, you talk about growth. It astounds me how much growth the members have from us. And it's amazing. It's like a whirlwind. And then all of a sudden you kind of get it and it solidifies with the process of procedures and things. And then they just really take off. So we run data on that. So we watch that stuff. So
yeah, it's amazing how many struggling law firm owners, they're like allergic to processes and procedures because they think it's going to take all the creativity out of the business, and it doesn't. And they think it's going to take all the fun out of the business, and it doesn't. And they think it's going to take all the excitement out of the business, and it's like they're settling for cheap thrills, right? They're settling for the cheap thrills that come from chaos instead of real thrills that come from building a business that allows you to do amazing things in the world and amazing things with your career and gives you the financial resources to do amazing things with your life. That's the real thrill. And correct. They struggle with these poorly managed law firms with no documented policies, no documented systems, no documented procedures. And they're getting off on the thrill of being like the knight in shining armor that comes running to the rescue, the firefighter who comes, successful businesses are not run by firefighters who come running to the rescue when the fire erupts. Successful correct. Businesses are built by engineers who create processes and procedures and checklists and structure so that the owners can do amazing things. And Trey, you're one of the engineers that makes How to Manage a Small Law Firm run. And so I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I actually 100% agree with you. It's always like if you see a lifeguard running, shit has gone wrong. So
yeah. Yeah. Is your son around?
No, he's not here. He's at work. Probably burning pizza, but he's at work.
Impressive kid. All right. So let's see the clip. Okay. I know when that was.
All right.
That was 2014. That was California.
Ooh, 1 out of 2.
It's not 2014.
It is 2014. You're about
Okay,
3,500
then it
miles
was
off.
Miami Beach.
Correct.
Are you sure?
That's what my notes say. It says Miami, so could be Miami Beach, but it says Miami.
Huh. Anyway, I got the year right.
You did get the year right.
All right, so let's see the clip.
Absolutely.
Whether you have a $250,000 business, or a $125,000 business, or a $500,000 business, or a multi-million-dollar business, those are simply effects. And the causes are the 7 main parts that are the causes of every successful business. From 250 to 500, this is where you shift gears. This is where you shift gears from having a practice, from owning your own job. This is where you shift gears into actually creating a business, actually building a sustainable business that can continue to meet its legal, its financial, its professional obligations to all of your stakeholders, even if you're not there every single day. Maybe not even have to be there every single week. When you get this really hitting on all cylinders, you don't even have to be there every single month. Imagine if you didn't have to be there every single month in order to keep your business running. Imagine what you'd be able to do then. That'd be pretty cool, right? This is all about your policies, your system, your procedures, your systems. Your policies, your procedures, your systems. It is your life from $250,000 to $500,000 in the growth of your business. It's all about creating systems to run the business. The people run the systems run the business. This is the realm of the Chief Operating Officer, your COO. How many of you have a COO? Good. That was a little trick question. You all have a COO. The problem is some of you, he or she has been calling in sick for the last 2 years. All right. From 500,000 to breaking the 7-figure barrier. From 500,000 to breaking the 7-figure barrier, I was going to reach for red, but that would send the wrong message. So we'll do purple. From 500,000 to $1 million, it's all about getting control of your numbers, your money and your metrics. Your money and your metrics are what's going to drive you from 500,000 to breaking the 7-figure barrier. And the reason why the money and the metrics are so critical in this third stage of growth actually is it's rooted in what you were doing in the second stage of growth. You see, the policies, the procedures, the systems, building the factory that runs your business that got you from $250,000 to $500,000, that means you have to hire people. And I don't care if they're virtual people or full-time people, or if they work in your office, or if they work from their own home office, or even work from another country. They're human beings. And by virtue of the fact that they're human beings, they're going to have questions for you. They're going to be looking to you for leadership. And the money and the metrics are what's going to help you make better, quicker decisions.
I feel like I say the same thing for like forever. I've been saying this. Look, the business of running a law firm is, law firms are not new businesses. Law firms are time-tested, well understood. Just because they don't teach us anything in law school about the business of running a law firm doesn't mean there isn't an entire industry of people who know all there is to know about the business of running a law firm. There is. There's even a international association of professional legal administrators, ALANET.org. Check it out. Check out the job bank. So Trey, why you love this clip? Because you are a process guy.
You know, it's funny is I'm not naturally a process guy, but they make the world go round, and they keep you from going around so fast, right? So I actually have become a process guy over time because they help manage your time. They help you do other things by just following processes and making processes. That's why I believe in them, because I'm not naturally a process guy, and now it's what I do every day almost.
And so talk a little bit more about what you do at How to Manage a Small Law Firm, because I think it's important for people to know that, you know, two things I think it's important to know. One is we practice what we preach. And number two, we're a work in progress also. We have 150 employees. We manage over 600 law firms. We have been in Inc. magazine as one of the fastest growing companies for, like, I don't know, every year since 2015 when we made the list. Every single year since then, we've made the list as one of the fastest growing companies. But we're still a work in progress. You know, we'll do over $30 million. We're still a work in progress. Anyone who says, oh, you know, I've got all my processes and procedures and systems all worked out, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. What do you say about that?
I think that that's a fallacy. It's a logic trap, because foundational processes and procedures, they should always come open for review based on where the business is going. So they dynamically evolve inside of certain parameters, but I think they have to be reviewed as you hit the steps of growth, right? So because what got you here might not get you there, something might need to be changed in a process or procedure.
Yeah, what got you here is probably going to keep you stuck here.
Correct.
Until the world changes some more, and then it won't even keep you here. And then you start backsliding, right?
Right.
Correct. Is it constantly be reviewing, revising, updating? You know the analogy that I use? You ever been on like one of these big motor yachts with the teak deck and the teak railing goes all the way around it? Yes? No? I can't tell.
Not a big motor yacht, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying, like a cruise ship maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they do, you take this 100-foot yacht or 300-foot cruise ship or whatever it is, right? And there's never a time when they have completed the refinishing of the teak railing and deck. There's never a time when that job is complete, right? So they do 10 feet on the starboard side this week, and then they move forward and they do 10 feet, and then they do 10 feet, and then they do 10 feet. And they do that for, you know, however many weeks it takes them to get to the front of the boat. And then they come back down the other side of the boat, and then they get to the back of the boat. And by the time they've got around, it's time to do it all over again, right?
Correct.
Because it's in the salt, in the ocean, and the sun, and all those conditions. So there's never a time when they're not. That job is never complete. It's a never-ending job, right? And it's the same thing with documenting and revisiting and reviewing and revising and testing and analyzing your firm's processes and policies and systems and procedures. And very immature entrepreneurs, they hear this and they get very discouraged because they want to have this idea that, like, oh, I could just be done with this and forget about it. And I consider it to be extremely exciting to know that this task never ends. How do you feel about it? Exciting, not exciting?
I think that I think it is the nature of the beast, right? So to go back and use your boat analogy, by the time you get all around, macro changes, the environment changes, and you might have to change the process. You might have to put 12 feet of new teak down, or you might have to do a different buffer system or a different wax, because the systems change, the environment changes, and it's going to change your process and procedures. So at some point, they all have to come open for assessment and reevaluation to see if they still fit inside the microsystems of the company. Is the company outgrown the process or procedure?
Yeah, but
do we need to evolve
what I'm I'm asking a
Yep.
question. You're describing what they are, and I'm asking,
Right.
do you find that exciting? I find that as an entrepreneur, I find that so fucking exciting and liberating. I mean, maybe I'm just twisted, but then again, this has helped me build multiple different multi 8-figure businesses and
Correct.
multiple multi 7-figure businesses because I understand how exciting it is that the creation of policies and procedures is never ending. And this is a gigantic competitive advantage for those of us who understand. And it's a
Agreed.
gigantic competitive impediment to everyone who has a closed mind about this and doesn't understand. So I'm asking
Correct.
if you're excited about it. Does this excite you?
Yes.
And if so,
Absolutely.
why?
Yes.
Why?
Because it doesn't stagnate. There's no stagnation. Excitement because it's always evolving and growing.
See, the reason I find this so exciting is because you can't fuck it up.
That's true.
See,
That's true.
if it's finished, then there's a chance you can screw it up because you did it wrong. And there it is. It's wrong forevermore. It's wrong. And this is why lawyers struggle so much with this stuff, because they're like, oh my God, what if I make the wrong decision and then it's over and then I'm done and that's the way I got to live with it forever.
Right.
Instead, when you embrace the fact that it's never ending. Jennifer, we lost Trey. Jennifer, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. Trey, come back,
All right,
Trey.
well, I'll just keep talking until Trey will come back.
Here he comes. He's right back.
Are you back?
I'm back.
Anyway,
I had to go change a policy.
The fact that it never ends, you can't fuck it up, right? Because it's just like, you know what? Everything's a placeholder. Everything is temporary. This is just until we get around to this all over again, and we'll revisit it and we'll improve it. And you know what? We'll try it this way this time around. And then next time we'll try it a different way next time around. And the time after that, we'll try it a different way next time around. And for the next 10 years, we're just going to keep trying it different ways and trying it different ways and trying it different ways until we find ways that we like best. And then you don't have to get like paralyzed by the analysis that most law firm owners do. They get stuck by paralysis by analysis because they're so terrified, they're petrified, no pun intended, about making the wrong decision. Oh my God. And so they don't end up making any decisions at all.
Right.
And the second reason why I am inspired by this stuff, precisely because it's so challenging, is because I know that most law firm owners are unwilling to really connect with their true purpose and truly think about why it matters to them to have a law firm that performs really well. You know, they're not really clear on what their real motivations are and their real goals, what really drives them. And so as soon as something gets hard, they quit.
Right.
And, you know, that's great news for us and all of our members, because it's like, as long as you don't quit, you're going to win a lot of games, because most of the competition is going to quit. As long as you don't quit, you don't even have to be that much better than them. You don't even have to be any better than them. You just have to stay in the game longer and keep working on your processes and keep working on your systems and keep working on your procedures, and keep reviewing them and revising them and updating them. And eventually you're going to have a better run, more profitable law firm than most other people.
Right. 100%. So there is something that I found really interesting in the clip, and I kind of wanted to draw it out, right? Because in the clip you say people run the systems run the business. If you don't create the systems and processes, then you get to skip that middle step, and then you're just constantly churning in the business.
And I see we have a question too. So
yeah, I
finish
see. So
and then we'll get to the question.
Yep. So here's a question for you. What?
Yeah, but finish your question,
Yeah.
and then we'll get to the
So I
question.
just want to make sure that because
And
it
I
was
want to
very
invite everyone who's
profound to me,
listening, if
right?
you have any questions, to post
Yep.
your question.
People run the systems. Systems run the business.
Yeah, you want a systems run business.
That's correct. So
Businesses are run by systems.
systems.
Practices are run by sweat.
Correct.
You got to be willing to sweat to build the systems. But once you sweat and build the system keeps running the business, running the business, running the business, running the business, running the business. I mean, I only work in how to manage a small law firm about 90 days per year.
Right.
That's why I've got all the freedom to build all these other businesses, because I got this $30+ million business that only needs me to be there about 90 days a year, because I was willing to do things early on that most people aren't
Right.
willing to do, to build the processes and build the systems and build the procedures and build all that stuff. And it's not like I'm like a million times smarter than anyone. I mean, we got a lot of members who are a lot smarter than me. And I definitely don't work harder than most people. Got a lot of members who work a lot harder than me.
Right.
I was willing to do things that most people aren't willing to do. And it's nothing that everyone here couldn't do. You could all do this. All right. So Matt has a question. What, if anything, would you, what?
I was going to read the question for you, but go ahead.
Oh, I can see it. Sometimes the font is big and I can read it, and sometimes the font is small and I can't. I don't know why. So Matt said, what, if anything, would you change about the way you prioritized which policies, systems, and procedures as you built your business, especially early on? Oh my God. What would you change, if anything? I mean, I'm sure the answer is a million things. I mean, I would change tons and tons and tons. Look, Matt, I failed my way to building my first 7-figure business. And then I failed my way to building my first 8-figure business. And then I failed my way to building my first multi 8-figure business. And then I failed my way to building my second multi 8-figure business. And I fail my way to building every 7-figure business. And by the way, I fail my way to having plenty of businesses that I don't talk that much about that we shut down because they just failed. And that's part of it, right? You got to just keep trying things and doing things and zigging and zagging, and having the humility to know that you're going to look back. If you don't look back in 5 years at whatever you're doing today and think, wow, what a crude, primitive thing that was. If 5 years from now you don't look back at whatever you're doing today and think how crude and primitive it was, then you probably are waiting too long right now to get things started, or you're not really growing your business. And I take a lot of comfort knowing that this is inevitable. And since I know that I'm going to look back 5 years from now and think how crude and primitive that was, it liberates me to just do the best that I know how to do today and grow past it. So Matt's asking specifically about what, if anything, would I change about the way that I prioritize which policies, systems, and procedures as I built my business, especially early on. Okay, I can think of a couple things. One, my filing system I didn't give enough attention to my filing system. I did not enforce the naming conventions, the rules around naming conventions. And consequently, 10, 15 years later, we're still finding shit that was misfiled 10 years ago. I still have instances where before I can start certain projects, I need to like have my team spend hours over several days finding things that I know are there that I don't want to recreate. I probably waste, I'm not exaggerating, at least $200,000 a year having people find things that were badly filed, badly organized. People didn't respect naming conventions way back when. And it cost me probably, easily $200,000 a year. And I can and if I were to quantify it, I bet I could get over $200,000. And that's $2 million over 10 years, if you think about it, right? And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is how frustrating it is for me to know that there's something that I can't easily get my hands on. So if there was one thing, and he said, what, if anything, and it's a long list, but if I had to pick one thing, it wasn't exactly the question, but I'm taking artistic license, Matt. If there was one thing that I would change about the way that I prioritize policy systems and procedures early on in the business, I would have been like militant. I would have been militant about naming conventions and filing protocols. And the first person who fucked it up, I would have booted their fucking ass the hell out of my business instead of making excuses for it and saying, well, they're completely fucking up my filing system, but they're doing all these other things really well, right? I wish that I could get back in a time machine and like shake myself and say, do not tolerate that shit from people. That was a huge mistake that I'm still paying the price for. And I see, Trey, you are like nodding your head because you're dealing with a lot of this shit still too.
Well, we deal with it, but and by the way, this is not a you problem. I've seen this in multiple companies. Right out of the gate, they mess up the naming convention, and then you have this like black hole of infinite space that you can't find anything in there. And so I 100% agree with that, right? And by the way, to your point, the naming conventions don't have to stay forever, but you need something there early to control the chaos. 100% agree
yes,
with that.
My naming conventions were reprinted on toilet paper to make it easier for people to wipe their ass with them. And those people, by the way, are long gone, right? They're long gone. Those people are long gone from the business, and I'm still cleaning up the mess. So I would encourage everyone to be very, very thoughtful about your naming conventions, your filing systems, how information is stored and retrieved in your business, because you're building an asset bank. Those policies, those procedures, those marketing campaigns, the articles you write for marketing, the checklist, the templates, all those things that are going to help you scale your business. Those things are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to you. And when you go to sell your business, they'll be worth even more. And so, I think we have at least one full-time person whose job is just to find shit still, right? All right. So anyway, any other questions? I'm happy to answer them. Any questions about law firm marketing? There we go. When can I delegate the final approval of policies and procedures? When can I delegate the final approval of policies and procedures? Okay, so I would say that when you have a full-time professional legal administrator, and this is someone who in today's market is probably going to be earning at least $125,000 to $150,000 a year. And the reason I'm mentioning the salary is because I'm so tired of lawyers telling me, oh yeah, I have a professional legal administrator, and it's like an offshore virtual assistant who they just gave the title to because they met someone at a bar function and they thought it sounded cool. So they wanted to have a professional legal administrator too. This is a person with possibly an MBA. This is a person who may have a CPA. This is someone who's run a multi-million-dollar professional services firm before. This is your counterpart. This is your equal. You are a brilliant owner. They are brilliant tactician. You do strategy. They do tactics. So when you have a full-time professional legal administrator, and they're with you for, I would say, at least a year, and you spend the first 6 months with them pretty much operating like your shadow, and they understand, most of all, they understand your criteria. This person ought to be able to order you lunch, not because they remember what you order, but because they know how you make decisions. This person, you ought to be able to send this person to go buy a new car for you, right? You should be able to say to this person, go get me a new car. And maybe they want to know what color you want. That's all they should need to know, is like, what color do you want? And everything else, they ought to be able to make the decision for you because they know your criteria so well. If you're not willing to trust them with something as inconsequential as the car you're going to drive for the next 3 years, then don't you dare trust them with something as consequential as making important policy decisions about the business that's going to pay for the car, the house, the boat, the education, the insurance, the domestic services, the vacations, and your entire life. It's amazing to me. People will allow someone to make decisions about their business, but they won't allow the person to make decisions about something as inconsequential as their car. That would be a good rule of thumb that I would use, Randy. Other questions? What does that say?
How specific should I get in these procedures? Write down every single little thing or leave it more general?
So I think that the person who wrote the question is confusing policies and procedures, and they're not the same thing. They're very, very different. Policies are rules. Policies are guidelines. Policies don't change very often. Policies answer the question of why do we do what we do? Policies answer the question of what position is responsible for this area of activity in the business. Procedures are the step-by-step instructions for how something gets done. So a policy would be, for example, it's our policy to serve it's our policy to I was trying to make an analogy with a restaurant because I'm hungry. It's our policy to serve free appetizers. I'm just making this up, right? The procedure is, this is a terrible example. This analogy just fell apart. This is what happens when you have an unscripted show, right? But policies are the rules. Policies answer the question why. Procedures are the step-by-step instructions. So how specific should you get in procedures? You should be specific enough such that you can hand the procedure to a reasonably intelligent person. This is exactly how you know if your procedure is specific enough. You take your procedure, you hand it to a reasonably intelligent person. If you have a teenager, that's a perfect person to test out a law firm procedure with. A reasonably intelligent person, and you say, please read this procedure, and they read it. And you say, does this make sense? Do you understand it? And they either say, no, I don't, in which case it's not clear enough, or they say, yes, I do. And just because they say, yes, I do, does not mean that it is clear enough. It just means that we're ready to go on to the second part of the test. And the second part of the test is you say, okay, great. I am going to follow this procedure step by step by step and demonstrate to you how this is done, step by step by step by step. And you demonstrate it to them. You say, as you can see, step one of the procedure is remove 2 pieces of bread from the loaf, not an end piece. Step 2, using a knife, scoop out enough jelly that it balances on the knife and doesn't fall off, and spread it on one of the pieces of bread. Step 3, using the same knife or a fresh knife, your taste, scoop out an about equal amount of peanut butter and spread that on the other piece of bread. Step 4, put the peanut butter bread on top of the jelly bread, not the other way around. That's how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? That's how you open a file. That's how you prepare correspondence. That's how you prepare a motion for summary judgment. That's how you do anything, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, you demonstrate it to the reasonably intelligent person who just read it and says they understand it. And then you say, did I follow the procedure? And they say, yes, you follow the procedure. And you say, great. Now I want to see you follow the procedure, and I'll watch you. And you watch them follow the procedure step by step by step by step. Trey, I should just mention that right about now, half the lawyers listening to this have already tuned this out. They've gotten bored, and they are right now searching for a vendor who they can burn $10, $20, $30, $50,000 of marketing money with for some mystical, magical marketing bullshit that they dream is going to solve all their problems, and it won't. Which is going back to the point that being willing to do this stuff gives you a huge competitive advantage. Agreed. The good news is once you get your business successful enough that you can hire a professional legal administrator, or even hire a good office administrator, or even hire a good executive assistant to help you, you can hire people to help you get this done, and then eventually hire people to just do it for you. But most lawyers aren't willing to live for a few years the way that we are, and that's why most lawyers don't get to experience what it's like to have a really successful law firm the way that so many of our law firm members do. Anyway, so now you're watching the person implement the procedure, yeah? And if you see that they missed a step, you stop and you say, okay, I noticed you missed this step, or you misinterpreted it, or you put on too much jelly, or you didn't put on enough peanut butter, or you got a piece of bread from the wrong, from the end of the loaf. Let's go back and see where there was a misunderstanding, right? When you've got procedures, you can be really ruthless and brutal about the problems and the procedures, and you don't have to be such an asshole to the people, right? Because you're really just helping people follow the process, follow the procedure. So that's how specific you need to be when doing a procedure, specific enough so that a reasonably intelligent person can read it and understand it, can audit you to make sure that you're following the procedure yourself, and then can take the step-by-step procedure and use it to produce an acceptable end result.
Right.
If it's not, that's how you know how specific. Trey, you look like you want to jump in. You look like you're dying to say something.
Well, I think that absolutely, right? So if you go with the generic procedure and you find people still making mistakes inside the procedure, it's time to get a procedure that's more specific. The procedure will dictate its changing. If take the peanut butter and jelly thing, right? If I keep tearing holes in the bread, there needs to be a procedure change that says don't press the bread too hard, or you're going to rip it, right? And so the way people operate inside the procedures will tell you if they need to be more specific if need be. So yeah.
Yeah. And look, once you've got a culture in place where your team, your staff, your employees, staff, and team are not the same thing, by the way. Those are not interchangeable terms. But once you've got a culture in place where your employees, and next up from employees is staff, and the next up from staff is team. Once you've got a culture where the people working in your firm get and understand that having procedures and policies makes their job easier and makes their life better and reduces their stress and allows them to actually have upward career mobility, then you can really have a great time. And then this thing really kind of like takes a quantum leap, because now you can ask people to draft procedures for how they do their own job, and you don't have to be the one doing it all. And then you say, hey, give me procedures for how these things get done. And then they hand you the procedure, and you read the procedure, and you say, okay, I understand this. And then they demonstrate themselves doing the job using their own procedure, and you say, okay, I understand that. And then they watch you try to use their procedure, and this whole thing, it's like in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill describes a river. And we did a whole live quarterly meeting where the front cover is based on this theme. He describes a river, and the river is running east to west. You follow? And the river has a line down the middle of it that runs east to west also, that divides the river to north and south. And the north side of the river is flowing in one direction towards everything great and wonderful in life. And the south side of the river, below the line, is flowing in the other direction, flowing towards everything that sucks. You follow? And the problem is we all start off on the southern bank of the river, and we have to swim against the tide that's pushing us towards everything that sucks. And we have to swim and swim and swim and swim with all our might. And then we get to that midpoint of the river, and then bam, all of a sudden everything gets so much easier, because now the tide is flowing with us and pushing us towards everything that's wonderful and great. And the same thing happens in a law firm, and it happens, by the way, around $1.5 million in revenue, which I fully appreciate. For some of you, that might seem like wildly out of reach and like a distant dream. But I'm telling you, every year we get dozens and dozens of our members who break the 7-figure barrier for the first time in their whole career, and they walk across the stage to get their award for having broken the 7-figure barrier for the first time ever. And they do a little thing where they share 3 things that they did to make the whole thing harder on themselves than it had to be. Hey, Jennifer, Tammy, if you're here, can we find a way to share a video of that, or maybe give people a way to download or opt in if they want to see some of those videos of people talking about how they made it harder on themselves than it had to be to break the 7-figure barrier? I'm telling you, everyone, you can do it from a standstill in 36 to 48 months at the outset. If it's taking you more than about 48 months to go from to break the 7-figure barrier, you're doing things to make it harder on yourself than it has to be. I promise you.
If folks will go to the howtomanagesmalllawfirm.com/12 days and enter in their information, we can put that in there for them.
Put what in there for them?
The link that you're looking for. We can also put it in the comments.
Okay. Well, let's give them a way to let's give them a way to opt in so they can get that whole thing. Okay.
Will do.
All right. Hey, Jennifer, after the show, would you give me a call real quick?
Yes, indeed.
All right. So I saw we had another question. Did I finish answering that one?
You answer yes. There's the new question. It's what do we recommend a CRM? What CRM would you recommend?
Any CRM. Any CRM is better than no CRM. By CRM, I suspect what this person means is law office management software. A CRM is a marketing and sales software, customer relationship management, which is primarily used for marketing and sales. Salesforce, Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep. I don't know, things like that. That's not the same thing as law office management software. Clio, Rocket Matter, MyCase, Abacus. Those are all examples of law office management software. Those are two different categories of product. We're agnostic at how to manage a small law firm. We manage over 600 law firms. We don't sell software. We don't service software. We don't support software. We're agnostic. We just want you to use technology to make your business run better. Sorry, Miriam, I don't have one to recommend.
Well, I actually think you just made the key statement is policies and procedures dictate what kind of software you need. I mean, you have to have policies and procedures in order to kind of know what kind of software you need, and should it be big software, scalable software, whatever it is. But policies and procedures help build software. There's no way around that.
So here's a fun story. When I graduated from law school, I graduated from law school. I learned all the same things in law school that everyone learns in law school about the business of running a law firm, which of course is nothing. In fact, if they taught us nothing in law school about the business of running a law firm, it would be even better, because what they teach us in law school is some very, very wrong information. They teach us just be a good lawyer and the magic law firm management elves will just come in the middle of the night and magically take care of the business for you, which is, fantasy. Anyway, I graduated from law school, worked for a federal bankruptcy judge for a little while, then opened my own law firm, and I didn't know shit about the business of running a law firm. I knew nothing about the business of running a law firm. Trey, do you understand when I say I knew nothing, right?
I believe you.
I did not know bookkeeping. This is what I did was I did not know bookkeeping, but I bought a bookkeeping software program, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. And I don't remember what it is right now. It wasn't QuickBooks. It was something else. And I called tech support because it didn't work. And I called tech support because it didn't work. And I called tech support because it didn't work. And eventually, someone from tech support told me, we're tech support. We're not here to teach you how bookkeeping works. We can't teach you bookkeeping. You have to know bookkeeping in order to use the software to make your bookkeeping better, faster, quicker, easier. But we're tech support. We're here to make the software, make sure the software does what the software is supposed to do. We're not supposed to teach you how to do bookkeeping. You follow what I'm saying? Fast forward, I'm at the Florida Bar working as a small law firm management advisor with the Florida Bar's Law Office Management Assistance Service. I was there for 4 years. I worked with over 9,000 lawyers while I was at the Florida Bar Law Office Management Assistance Service. And when I wasn't in the office, half the month I was out in the field fixing broken law firms. And we used to go into law firms all the time. And it was like, this happened so frequently, it became something of a joke. You'd walk into the office and you'd see on the shelf, this is back when we had floppy disks and CD-ROMs, okay? So software came in boxes. Fuck you too. All right, so, well, you're my age. You can't laugh at me. All right.
So, I mean, you make a valid point.
So anyway, we'd go into the office of these law firms and you'd see Peachtree. Remember Peachtree?
Vaguely.
And you'd see QuickBooks and you'd see PC Law and you'd see like 3 or 4 different softwares that all do materially the same thing. And I know that there's like tens of thousands of law firms that are using the software and it works. And we say, why do you have Why do you get this? Why aren't you using the first software? Oh, that software doesn't work. Okay. And why do you have a second? Why do you have a third? Why didn't you use the second one? Well, the second one didn't work either. And really the problem is they don't know bookkeeping. They don't know accounting. This is a perfect time, Jennifer, to plug Profit First for Lawyers. Read Profit First for Lawyers. Jennifer, put the website Profit First for Lawyers. It's a book that I wrote. You can listen to the podcast for free and learn about bookkeeping and learn about what to look for in a bookkeeper. Because if you don't know how to do bookkeeping yourself and you think you're just going to hire a bookkeeper to do the bookkeeping for you, you are getting fucked royally and you don't even know it. Sorry to be so graphic. It just really, really upsets me when I see lawyers. You're working so hard on marketing and you're working so hard to do great work for your clients and you're working so hard to get paid, and then you abdicate bookkeeping to a bookkeeper and they flush it all down the toilet. And it's not even because they're a bad bookkeeper. They just don't know. Read the book, Profit First for Lawyers. Listen to the podcast, Profit First for Lawyers, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Trey, you barely got a word in edgewise.
Well, that is the shtick of our dynamic duo here. You do all the talking, and I
not. No, it is not. When I'm with you in person, you were like, I can barely get a word in edgewise. What happened here? You went mute all of a sudden on a podcast.
No, I'm just listening to you talk. I mean, you're saying things that I absolutely believe in, and I think one of the most profound things you're saying is because I see people not do the very basic little things that you just said to do, right? And I will say about policies and procedures, they bring repeatability, they bring scalability. You can't argue that. That's just how it is. But you'd be surprised how many people do not invest early in the basic procedures and policies that will bring scalability and repeatability. And it's like a pandemic problem. So yeah, it's like you're correct when you say people have like logged out and they're looking at probably marketing software to run marketing, or they're looking for bookkeeping
You
software.
want to find the easy button.
Right? So there are no easy buttons.
I mean, and there isn't an easy button. There's a simple button. There are simple buttons. Correct. There are buttons to make this simple. But there's no easy button. There's a worth it button. There's a worth it button. There's a simple solution. There is no easy button. What did I say?
So there's a great question.
What is the question?
When do I know I'm ready to hire someone who has a role like Trey to become part of my law firm? That's a great question.
So I would be very curious for that person to pose a follow-up to your question. Whoever just posed that question, pose a follow-up, please. And this is very serious. I'm really serious about this. I'm not joking. Well-meaning lawyers often give each other horrible business management advice because the person asking asks the wrong question and the person answering doesn't know enough to ask some qualifying questions before they just start diving in and answering the wrong questions. So the wrong question is, and this isn't the question that the person asked, but I'm getting to it. I'll connect all these dots. The wrong question is, how did you do it? And the answer is, I made a ton of mistakes. Painful, expensive, time-consuming, embarrassing, avoidable mistakes. The right question is, if you had it to do all over again, how would you do it differently? Right? It's a better question. I mean, you want to make all the same mistakes I made, or you want to know how to do it better than I did it, right? Now, a corollary to that are lawyers who ask questions like the one that got posed here. How do I know I'm ready to hire someone for a role like Trey to become part of my firm? And so my question back to you is, what exactly do you think Trey's role is? Because you see, there's lots of people who you put a microphone in front of them, you put them on a stage, and their ego can't allow them to say, I don't know the answer. Right? And so they just like, they answer questions without even stopping to think about the question itself. Right? So I would ask this person, how do I know when I'm ready to hire someone, what does it say, with a role like Trey, for a role like Trey to become part of my law firm? And I think that the person asking the question, I feel like I would be doing you a tremendous disservice if I answered it without asking you to first clarify what it is you think Trey actually does. Because the answer is probably never. And certainly not until your firm is well over $10 million. Because I think you have an idea of what Trey does that isn't correct. So I wonder if that person would mind, it's anonymous, I have no idea who you are. I wonder if they would mind clarifying, what is it you actually imagine Trey does? Trey is not the chief operating officer of my business. Trey is not the chief financial officer of my business. Trey is not the chief technology officer of my business. Trey is not the controller. Trey is not the our lead accountant in the finance department. Trey is not the general manager of our business. Trey is not the office manager in my business. Trey, what exactly is your role?
So I work with the tech teams, and we do a lot of project management. A lot of, so we take problems like collapsing the tech stack. So we run a lot of projects here at HTM, efficiency projects, policies and procedure projects. So we run a lot of projects.
So Trey is a project manager who works in the tech department. Like, how many people are in your department?
10.
Yeah, I mean, Trey is one of 10 people in my tech department who manages teams, who manage projects. He just happens to be a really cool guy who's got a much cooler son than he. And your son is super cool.
He's pretty cool. He takes after his mom.
Clearly. No, I'm just trying to give you a compliment because he's got a really cool son. We just randomly pick people from all over the organization and ask them to jump in and pick an episode or pick a clip. You're going to be well over $10-20 million in revenue, your law firm, before you need a role like Trey in your law firm. When do you need a professional legal administrator? You probably need a professional legal administrator around $1.5 million, somewhere between $1 million and $1.5 million in gross revenue. At $1 million, you can afford it. It'll be tight. At $1.5 million, you can't afford not to have it, or your law firm will probably stall out. I think people assume you're a professional legal administrator, but that's not what Trey does.
I know a lot about what I don't do now, though. So, but
all right.
Yeah, part of the tech team.
Any other questions? Right? Jennifer, we got any other questions coming in on this 10th day of law firm growth? Does Trey create procedures or is an operations person? Do you create procedures? I don't even know.
Yes, if you're, so procedures are ownership based sometimes, right? So if I own a particular process or something like that, we'll create the policies and procedures. Now, it's a group authoring type of ship at some point, but it is possible that I do own a policy or procedure based on what it is, right?
So mostly the answer is no, you don't create procedures.
Yes.
That's not your main day-to-day thing. Every once
Correct.
in a while, you might create a procedure for review and approval by Dean, our CTO. Correct. But for the most part, no, you do not create procedures.
That is correct.
What Trey does, Trey is like a you give him a blueprint, he gets it built. Is that fair to say?
About be the nicest thing anybody's ever said. So yes.
You don't create the blueprint. You don't decide why we need the blueprint. You don't decide when we need the blueprint. You don't decide where we need the blueprint. Someone creates a blueprint, gives it to you, and you get the blueprint built, which is critical, right? But he's not creating the procedures. All right. I think that is all the questions we've got coming in tonight, Jennifer. So today is the 10th night of Law Firm Growth. Trey, thank you for taking time out of your day away from your family to, by the way, just so you know, the reason I'm teasing Trey about his son is Trey's son participated in our Teenage Entrepreneurs Club, and he just impressed all of us. So I know Trey's really proud of his son, and I want him to know that we were really impressed with him. So
thank you.
So anyway,
thank you for letting me. I mean, I appreciate the invite, man. It's awesome to do these things with you. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. So today is the 10th night of Law Firm Growth. And so let's hear the jingle to hear what was promised for the 10th night of Law Firm Growth, to make sure that we delivered on the promise of the jingle. Jennifer?
On the 10th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me. Having documented systems and procedures will save my sanity.
Trey, you think we delivered on that?
Yes, I do believe that.
All right. You want to hear it again, just to be sure?
Yes. I actually
Let's hear it
do.
again,
It's a really catchy jingle.
On the 10th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me. Having documented systems and procedures will save my sanity.
It's a catchy jingle if it's the first night you've been a guest on the show. When you've been here for 10 nights, you understand we're all being driven slowly insane by this song. And just to illustrate the point, let's get a preview of what's up for the 11th night of Law Firm Growth by hearing that line of the jingle of the song.
On the 11th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me how to free up my time to spend it on more important things.
So that'll be tomorrow night. And I want to thank you, Trey, for being here. And now we're going to hear the first 10 nights of Law Firm Growth. Oh my God, I'm going to lose.
On the 10th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me. Having documented systems and procedures will save my sanity. That the kindest and most loving thing I can do for my prospects is to sell them my services. How to bring in the customers I want and repel the ones, I don't. I should only make a sacrifice for my business if it somehow improves my life. How to use my calendar strategically so I have a life outside of work and make my law firm a lot more profitable too. Leave my bullshit at the door. How to set better goals, the difference between strategy and tactics, how to defend my standards, and a practical working definition of whether my law firm is successful or not.